Did you know top scientists measured that much progress? Specifically, a 15% increase in squat strength and a 10% increase in jump height in elite rugby players after they used EMS.
Which is, I mean, that is just a staggering number for guys at that level.
Right. And if you were wondering how that kind of leap is even biologically possible for athletes who are already at the absolute top of their game, you're going to want to pull up a chair.
Yeah, we are analyzing a genuine biological hack today. Unlocking double-digit strength gains in highly trained individuals is, well, it's one of the hardest things to do in human physiology.
Exactly. So whether you are a rugby player taking hits on the pitch or really any competitive sports player looking for that elusive edge, today's deep dive is entirely custom tailored for you.
It really is.
Our mission today is to completely unpack how you can use electromyostimulation, which we'll just call EMS so we don't trip over our own tongues.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, how you can use EMS regularly to play rugby and other sports better. We're going to break down the exact protocol, the weird timeline of when the strength actually shows up, and the difference between building raw power and actually using it in a game.
Right. And the foundation of our deep dive today is this landmark 2007 study. It was published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research.
Which is the official journal of the National Strength and Conditioning Association, right?
Exactly, yeah. The research was spearheaded by Nicolas Babault alongside this absolute powerhouse team of scientists from French universities in Strasbourg, Dijon, and Saint-Étienne.
Wow.
Plus INSERM, which is France's National Biomedical Research Institute, and the French Rugby Federation itself.
That is a serious lineup.
It really is.
Yeah.
We're also layering in some insights from an excellent breakdown of this study, a blog post titled 12 Weeks of EMS Helped Elite Rugby Players Get Stronger Squats and Higher Jumps.
Awesome. It's a phenomenal stack of research. We're going to look at some wild protocols today, but a quick disclaimer. Our content is for informational and educational purpose only, not medical advices. So, don't go hooking yourself up to a car battery after listening to this.
Yeah, please don't do that. The clinical parameters they used are very specific. And to understand why this research is such a paradigm shift, we really have to look at the subjects themselves.
Right, the players.
Yeah. They tested 25 elite rugby players from France's first and second divisions, and 3 of these guys even played for the national team.
So they divided them randomly, right? Like 15 into the EMS group and 10 into the control group.
Exactly.
And the wild part to me is that everyone kept doing their normal, intense rugby training throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, that's crucial. 5 brutal sessions a week with the same national military team coach.
So nobody was, sneaking off to the gym to do extra heavy squats.
Nope. They just layered the EMS on top of a fully packed professional schedule. And that training status, that's the most important variable in the entire study.
Why is that?
Well, in sports science, there's this thing called the ceiling effect. If you take a sedentary person off the couch, right, and have them do jumping jacks for a month.
Their leg strengths will shoot up.
Exactly, just because they are moving, their nervous system is totally unaccustomed to stress, so any stimulus forces an adaptation.
The bar is basically on the floor.
Right, but elite Division I rugby players, they exist at the absolute ceiling of human physiological adaptation.
Yeah, their bodies are already maxed out.
Highly efficient central nervous systems, dense muscle fibers, their bodies fiercely guard homeostasis. Squeezing out even a 1% performance enhancement from an athlete at this level is incredibly difficult.
So proving that EMS works on elites means it isn't just newbie games.
Exactly. It's a profound physiological intervention.
It's like trying to get more horsepower out of a finely tuned Formula One car compared to, I don't know, an old rusty sedan.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
Like, if you tinker with the old sedan, just changing the spark plugs might make it run noticeably better. But if you can make the F1 car even a fraction of a second faster after a whole team of engineers has already optimized every single bolt, you've really found something special.
Right, and the F1 car in this scenario already has a highly optimized engine. The challenge for these French researchers was figuring out how to stimulate that engine without completely breaking down the chassis.
Because these guys were still taking hits and training 5 days a week.
Exactly. Central nervous system burnout was a huge risk here.
Okay, so how did they actually conduct the EMS training without completely frying these players?
So they used a portable compact stimulator, and they placed the electrode pads specifically on 3 key lower body power engines, the quads, the calves, and the glutes.
Just the major movers?
Yeah. And the workout itself was shockingly brief. Each muscle group was stimulated for just 12 minutes.
Wait, 12 minutes?
Yep. The rhythm was 5 seconds of intense contraction, followed by 15 seconds of rest. So in total, the athletes endured just 36 contractions per muscle group.
Hold on. So they only worked each muscle for 12 minutes, and they spent 15 seconds resting for every 5 seconds working.
That is the protocol, yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a spa day compared to heavy deadlifts. How could that possibly build elite strength?
It really does sound deceptively easy, doesn't it? Until you look at the frequency of the electrical current. They used a 100 hertz frequency.
Okay. What's special about 100 hertz?
To understand why that specific number is the key to this whole thing, we have to look at how your brain normally recruits muscle tissue. When you voluntarily lift a weight, your brain acts like a governor on a golf cart.
Meaning it holds you back?
Exactly. It recruits muscle fibers gradually, according to Henneman's size principle.
So it starts with the small stuff and works its way up.
Right. It starts with the smaller, slow-twitch muscle fibers because they resist fatigue really well. The brain only calls on your large, explosive, fast-twitch fibers when the load gets incredibly heavy or, you need to move with sudden violence.
Like surviving a tackle.
Yeah. It's an evolutionary survival mechanism designed to save energy and keep you from tearing your own muscles off the bone. Plus, in a normal voluntary contraction, your motor units fire asynchronously.
Meaning they don't all fire at once.
Right. Some fibers rest while others work, trading off to delay exhaustion.
But the EMS current, I'm guessing it doesn't care about the brain's survival mechanisms.
Not at all. A 100 hertz electrical signal bypasses the central nervous system's governor entirely. It gets sent directly into the motor nerve, forcing an immediate, synchronous, massive recruitment of those elusive fast-twitch fibers.
Oh, wow. So it forces every single fiber to contract at the exact same time.
Every single one. It induces what we call a tetanic contraction. It's a maximal involuntary locking of the muscle.
That sounds intense.
So while 5 seconds of work and 15 seconds of rest sounds pleasant on paper, those 5 seconds are generating an enormous amount of metabolic and structural stress.
On the most powerful fibers in the human body.
Exactly. The players aren't relaxing. They are enduring a localized, highly controlled lightning strike to the power centers of their legs.
Okay, so they are putting the muscles through absolute hell, but in very short, targeted bursts. And they did this for 12 weeks, right?
They did, but the timeline the researchers used is really counterintuitive. They didn't just do this 3 times a week for the whole study.
Right, because they split it up.
Yeah. For the first 6 weeks, they did 3 EMS sessions a week. Then for the final 6 weeks, they drastically reduced the volume down to just 1 single session a week.
Which coaches call a tapered period, right?
Exactly, a taper.
But if they were putting the muscles through that much stress in the first 6 weeks, I would expect the midpoint results to be huge. But when they tested everyone at week 6, the results were, well, they were actually pretty modest.
They were.
Like, squat strength only went up by 8.3%, which is okay, but their sprint times hadn't budged, and their vertical jumps hadn't moved at all. If the study ended there, I'd assume EMS is basically useless for explosive sports power.
And the control group showed 0 change, obviously, but the researchers knew that testing at week 6 wasn't the full picture. So they entered that taper phase, dropping the stimulus to once a week.
And then what happened at week 12?
When they tested them again at week 12, the numbers exploded. Squat strength ended up at a massive 15.0% increase from the start.
That is crazy. So they got almost double the strength gains during the 6 weeks where they were working out significantly less.
Yes. And the knee torque metrics were equally staggering. Eccentric strength measured at a velocity of negative 120 degrees per second rose by 18.0%.
Wow.
Concentric torque at 120 degrees per second rose 19.4%, and at 240 degrees per second, it rose 10.0%.
Wait, before you lose me in the physics textbook concentric torque at 120 degrees per second versus 240, what does that actually look like in human movement on the field?
Think about the speed of your knee extending. A velocity of 120 degrees per second is a relatively slow, grinding movement. Like if you're bound up in a rugby scrum pushing against massive resistance, your knee joint is extending at about that speed.
Okay, I can picture that. And 240.
240 degrees per second is twice as fast. That's the explosive split-second snap of your leg when you kick for touch or when you bound forward in a sprint.
So they got about a 19% boost in their heavy grinding power and a 10% boost in their explosive snapping power.
Exactly.
And eccentric strength, that's your braking force, right? Your ability to absorb energy.
Yes, exactly.
So if you were going into a tackle or planting your foot to sharply change direction, that eccentric strength is what keeps your knee from just blowing out. An 18% increase there is massive for injury prevention.
It's huge. And that explosive power finally translated to the jump tests at week 12 as well. Squat jump height rose by 10.0%.
which was totally flat at week 6.
Exactly. And the drop jump where they step off a 40-centimeter box, land, and immediately rebound upward, that rose by 6.6%.
And those are the precise ground reaction mechanics you need for contesting a lineout or fielding a restart kick.
100%.
But the million-dollar question here is, why does doing less EMS suddenly result in these huge spikes in strength and jumping power? How does working out once a week unlock the gains from working out 3 times a week?
It comes down to a foundational concept in sports science known as the two-factor model of sports performance. The equation basically dictates that fitness minus fatigue equals preparedness.
Okay, fitness minus fatigue.
Right. During those first 6 weeks, doing intense EMS 3 times a week on top of elite rugby training, the athletes were building incredible fitness. They were increasing muscle density and neural drive.
But they're also getting super tired.
Massively tired. They were accumulating localized fatigue in those fast-twitch fibers.
So you can have all the new muscle in the world, but if the fatigue is acting like a wet blanket over it, your nervous system can't actually fire it.
Exactly. Your performance is heavily masked by the fatigue. So by dropping the EMS volume down to once a week, the scientists effectively removed the fatigue from the equation.
Giving the body a chance to catch up.
Yes. The body finally had the biological bandwidth to repair the muscle tissue, clear out the metabolic waste, and fully consolidate those new neural pathways. Recovery is the environment where growth actually occurs.
Okay, let's unpack this. It's like baking a cake.
Baking the cake. Okay, go on.
Yeah, think about it. The first 6 weeks, doing EMS 3 times a week, that is vigorously mixing all the ingredients together. You're aggressively stressing the system and building the potential for a cake.
Right.
But if you never stop mixing, and you never just let it sit in the oven, which is the 1 time a week phase that never actually rises, you are just left with a bowl of exhausted, overmixed batter.
That is actually a great analogy. The taper phase is the oven. The delay in the training effect is a well-documented phenomenon, especially with severe neurological interventions like high-frequency EMS. You have to give the central nervous system time to adapt.
Okay, so we have a squad of elite players with massively stronger legs. They can squat 15% more. They have actual springs in their legs. Their braking force is up 18%.
Yep.
But how did all this raw power translate to the actual messy, chaotic game of rugby? Because this is where the study gets very honest about what EMS can't do.
It does. It provides a vital reality check for anyone listening. Because despite these incredible gains in raw leg power, several key on-field metrics did not improve at all.
Like what?
Well, scrum force did not rise. Sprint times, both the 20-meter acceleration and the 50-meter top speed, did not fall. And repeat jump power stayed completely flat.
So wait, what does this all mean for you listening? If you get 15% stronger in a squat, but your scrum doesn't improve a single pound, and you don't run any faster, didn't the EMS fail? Why should a player bother hooking themselves up?
Well, the EMS didn't fail. It did exactly what it was physiologically designed to do. It increased maximal force production in isolated muscle groups. But applying force in a straight line on a machine is very different from applying force on a pitch.
That makes sense.
Think about what a scrum actually is. You have the raw leg extension torque, yes, but that force has to travel up through the legs, into the hips, be stabilized by the core, and then transmit through the spinal column into the shoulders, where you are binding with your teammates.
Right, you can't just leg press a scrum. If your core collapses or your timing is off by even a fraction of a second when the referee calls engage, all that leg power just dissipates into nothing.
Exactly. And sprinting is arguably even more neurologically demanding.
Because of the coordination.
Yeah, it requires a perfect symphony of neurological timing. The glutes fire to propel you forward, the hamstrings must instantly act to decelerate the lower leg, the hip flexors drive the opposite knee up.
All while your core counter-rotates and your arms are swinging.
Right, a static EMS machine, shocking your quads while you sit perfectly still on a table, simply cannot replicate that intricate sequencing.
So what we're really talking about here is the difference between hardware and software.
Oh, absolutely.
The EMS is a massive hardware upgrade. You are installing a bigger battery and thicker cables. You're increasing the muscle capacity and the raw voltage the brain can send.
Yes.
But the software, the highly complex motor patterns required to perform a dynamic sport skill like sprinting or scrummaging that hasn't been updated to know what to do with the new battery.
Without a software update, the hardware upgrade is effectively useless on the pitch. The researchers explicitly conclude that to transfer raw power into functional sports skill, EMS must be paired with technical field drills.
You have to teach the new muscle how to play rugby.
You really do.
So the practical application for a listener is to use the EMS in the morning to build the engine and then get out on the field in the afternoon to teach the driver how to steer.
That's the perfect formula.
If you build leg drive through EMS, you need to hit the scrum machine and practice the timing and core stability. If you build glute power, you need to do bounding and sprint mechanics drills so your nervous system learns how to sequence that power into the ground.
And that combination is incredibly valuable because traditional heavy weightlifting causes immense systemic fatigue. Doing heavy back squats 5 days a week just fries the central nervous system.
It totally wrecks you.
Yeah, it stresses the spinal column, demands massive amounts of recovery energy. EMS allows an athlete to bypass the joints and the spine, directly targeting those fast-twitch fibers without completely draining their systemic energy reserves.
That is such a huge takeaway. So for everyone listening, if you want stronger squats and you need better explosive jumps for lineouts and restarts without adding hours of heavy gym lifting that leaves you too wrecked to practice effectively, a 12-week EMS block is a proven scientific tool.
You really are.
Especially if you taper it down to once a week while you are in season to let that power fully bake in the oven.
And you know, the trajectory of the science leaves us with a highly compelling thought about the future of athletic preparation.
Oh yeah? What's that?
Well, we established that static EMS builds the hardware but lacks the software transfer, right? So what happens when future technology allows athletes to wear wireless functional EMS suits while they are actually practicing the scrum or running sprint drills on the field?
Wait, like a haptic feedback suit that shocks the exact right muscle at the exact right millisecond of the sprint stride?
Exactly. You would be merging the hardware upgrade of electrical stimulation with the software upgrade of functional movement in real time.
That is wow.
If we can successfully overlap the electrical stimulus with the biomechanical sequencing out on the pitch, the current elite benchmarks of human athletic performance might just be the new baseline.
Now that is a wild thought to leave you with as you head out to your next training session.
Yeah.
Imagine running drills in a suit that's literally forcing your fast-twitch fibers to fire at maximum capacity on every single step.
It would be incredible.
Until that day comes, though, the Compex and the field drills will just have to do. If you want to keep staying ahead of the curve and unlocking these performance secrets, make sure to follow Health Research Digest on Facebook for more health research papers that we reveal. We are constantly digging through the stacks to bring you the science that actually moves the needle on your training.
Absolutely.
And one final reminder as we wrap up today's deep dive, quick disclaimer, our content is for informational and educational purpose only, not medical advices. Train smart, taper well, and we will see you on the next deep dive.